Hey everyone. Hello America. What's going on? What are you doing today? What's happening? How are you? Uh, Today is September the 5th, 2023. It's a beautiful day out there. It's toward the end of the day, but I was out this afternoon and it was a little hot, but it's still beautiful. Beautiful day. And I've gone on picnics like the last 3 days too. I mean, it's been that kind of weather, really nice. Step outside and have my lunch kind of weather, which I enjoy doing. I've talked about this in the past. So, um, my name is Michael Tomlinson. I am an American tear. Do, 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 do. Um, and everything's, I'm hanging in there, being strong, trying to um, move ahead, be progressive, not allow myself to procrastinate or put things aside. I just can't afford to do that. I gotta keep thinking and thinking and thinking of, innovative and creative ways to keep uh, uh, to keep up with my lifestyle, just to stay afloat, just to make a living. And it's really not extravagant at all. Pretty mellow. Really mellow, actually. Um, and yesterday, I'm still kind of pondering the subject, and because after we stopped talking about it, it kind of stuck around for some reason. Just kind of, just kept spinning off in my head. I was talking about fear and faith, I guess, but mainly just fear. Um, and there was and like I said with a lot of other past videos, it's like I'll speak about something and remind everyone that, hey, I can't talk about everything on this one subject in a 15-minute video. I mean, it's just not going to happen. I can only highlight certain things. But we can always get in deeper conversations, or I can make other videos kind of expanding on that. So this is kind of an expansion from yesterday, I guess, because fear, yeah, and what's happening in America. So maybe that's why I feel like it's a little bit more. We should talk about this a little bit more as Americans, as American tears, and understand what we're talking about when we're talking about fear. Because we refuse to live in fear, but fear is really in our daily lives. Little do we realize it, or we know it, and we just try to ignore it and get through it. But it's there. We know it's there. And it's little things and big things. And yesterday it was more about like fear of spreading negative messages, like, news and politicians and or corporations. So those are like major fear factors, yes. But what comes down to it is our daily lives. Your daily life, my daily life, our daily life. And the little fears that come along with it that probably do not have to come with it. Nor is it going to be easy to ignore it, and just say, "Oh, I don't live in fear," because it's right outside the front door for a lot of Americans. I mean, it is right there, and um, and so what it comes down to is like, okay, there's other social dynamics going on with fear. And one of them is just peer pressure. Friends, family, a little group of people you hang out with, whatever that may be, which you maybe consider your Facebook crowd, or Instagram crowd. I'm not sure how that exactly works, but what I'm trying to say is peer pressure, colleague pressure, friend pressure, um, family pressure can create fear, in its own way. By being a part of it, it makes it tough for us to be independent thinkers or free thinkers, you know, because there's already a small little fear factor, of our friends or coworkers or family members, and so that really dictates right there on the spot to that American, what they want to do and what they can't do, which is that is that's lame. If you want to do something, but there's that little bit of fear, and it's just enough. Fear doesn't take much. That's why I'm talking about it again, because it just takes a little bit of fear that grows into something bigger, or to start to make decisions for you or dictate your life, and without realizing that we're allowing fear to dictate our life. And the words, and I was talking about the outside perspective, how it gets in, but once it's inside, it's different for everybody. Everyone has a different experience behind it, and it could be fear of like a neighbor. People live right across the street, drug neighbors, that all of a sudden it's just, there's kind of like some sandpaper. It's just not, working out. And that, so every time you go out and in of your dwelling, especially if you live in an apartment, you're probably going to have that little anxiety of fear just to take your trash out. I mean, that's a pretty, fear can go pretty low, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That is, it's controlling. It's paralyzing. It's hard to deal with in a daily life. And there's millions of Americans that I know that are going to relate to what I'm saying. Because we live in that state all day long, every day. There's no, we try, we have to let those things go really fast, so that way it doesn't dominate our life. I mean, it's already controlled and dictated, but it can't really fully just like, dominate you or dominate me, and even though, it probably wants to, but we can't allow it to do that. We can't even allow it to do what it's doing anyways. But and as individuals, we have to learn our own mechanism. We have to come up with our own ways to deal with that on a daily basis, And so I feel for you, man. I understand it. I get it. It is tough, and that's why we need to join together as American Tears, so we can stop that nonsense. It's the fear factor that we live in our society is bigger and worse than I probably think it is, than we all think it is, because it's just kind of there. Maybe it's the new normal. That is, which creates other problems, creates this self-sabotage maybe, or um, or to hurt and oppress others just because we have a fear in it. We fear other people. Get really low. Um, so that's another daily social structure or society that, or issue, or I don't know if it's, I don't know how to word that right, because but it is something we have to deal with. Everyone. I mean, most people, most Americans, I think are going to relate to me and relate to what I'm talking about. And that is just like the kind of like the fundamental of what's about fear in America, in that sense of our in our daily lives. And like I said, it's not the fear of, and then there's fear of bad news. It's fear of politicians. Then there's like so it just like becomes a world of fear. Another thing about fear, since we're talking about it, heck, why not? You know, and Americans do this a lot too. We do this to each other purposely, and this one's a little bit more intentional fear, and that is fear through intimidation. When other people try to make others just fearful, just by intimidating them, by kind of being rude, like purposely being rude and trying to start a fight or gaslight someone, and um, and making that making us as individuals like fearful, because all of a sudden it's like having a bully around, which we all, and we just want to live our lives without a bully. But if there is one that's using intimidation, to create fear, that it just kind of goes on. That's what I'm trying to say. There's no escaping it. And people with big egos will use intimidation, I think, or I want to say narcissistic individuals do, but they probably use fear in a different way. Just kind of they plant seeds of manipulation and deception, in their own way. Those are the really good narcissistic individuals in America who do that, and they're just as bad as someone who just full on direct intimidates. There's, so it's everywhere. Gosh darn it! I mean, what do we do now? Because they can be paralyzing, and for a lot of Americans every day. Like I said, just to go even empty the trash. There can be it can be just fearful and build up anxiety that's unnecessary. And so, and I want to say faith will fix it all, but it really is a state of mind and faith. And it's just going to take a lot for us as individuals. But it'll be a lot easier to tackle those issues if we unite as American tears and understand that what we're talking about when we're talking about fear. This is when people just say fear, fearful of this or fearful of that, and people don't even use the word fear really that often. If they do, they're just, they don't even use the word. They just kind of use the definition of fear, like, something bad's going to happen. And that's just kind of like saying, it's fearful without using the word fear. So, well, that was a little sidetracked. I don't know where that came from. But, and so it's going to encompass more than um, than just having hope and faith, which can do a lot, though. I mean, conquer a lot. Believe me, you have faith, you can, well, everything I just talked about, you can overcome. I mean, really, if you truly are a person of faith, without doubt, I know that. I know you can. I just know you can. And I know you can, you know that too. Because I know, there's a lot of people that just living in and out of fear at all those levels throughout the whole life. So dealing with it has become just a little bit more, I don't want to say like the new normal, but it's just a quick acknowledgement and moving on. And maybe that has to do with some faith, and believing that, that it's just going to be okay. The universe is going to take care of you, which is a good perspective to have too. So if you're living in fear, know that you're being taken care of. Know that you're being protected. And so don't be fearful is what it comes down to. And as American Tears, when you're united, you're not going to feel alone in that fear. And to fight that fear and to step beyond it into the light, and put fear in its place. Because we refuse to live in fear. That is what we American Tears, we say that. We know, I'm not just saying that. I'm trying to show that. I'm trying to explain it. How we will not live in fear. I'm not just going to say the words. We got to know how and what, to do to tackle that. Because that's no, let's say BS. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. The one thing I heard a politician say a few days ago on a podcast, and it was very random, and he was talking not about fear, but other issues in America, and I was kind of listening on him. But the one thing he did say that rang true with me, he said, what it comes down to is Americans have no sense of direction. That no one has. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know what direction we're going into, and we're just going to kind of and follow along or create or not do anything at all. We're going to create like things that are not healthy or follow along paths because we have no direction anyways. That's kind of like his point, I think. And, but I agree with that. I just made a video saying if we don't stand for something, we'll fall for everything. It's kind of the same thing. We're saying the same thing, but in different ways. And that's probably why I can relate to what he just said when he said we have no sense of direction, which I agree with. I'm an American, so I can't say I have, oh, yeah, I know the direction. I have all sense of direction because I'm an American Tear. No, I'm learning and growing just like everybody else. To gain more sense of direction, to gain more clarity, to conquer fear, and with whatever it takes inside of me to do it. If it takes just faith and believing, then that's what it takes. But that's my personal intake. Or if it just takes me just to just ignore fear and move along, which is probably what I do a lot of times. I just have to ignore it and not let it control me. So I know once it gets into you, man, it has deep roots, in that and in our society, and it manifests in different ways and makes people lose a sense of direction or create or just do things that are not healthy, and use that as a sense of direction. And it's kind of, And to me, when I think about it, there is a fear factor in all that, which is why I'm talking about it again. So let's unite as American tears, and we can conquer fear. And I'm not even gonna say faith, with love. And I love saying that word. We can conquer. We can prevail with love. Because I know no one believes when I say that. But I know there's a lot of folks out there that know it's true. It is so true that without a little bit of love or compassion or understanding, we're not going to resolve anything. We all kind of have to compromise a little bit. And that's not asking for much. It's not asking for, you know, like, I'm just talking about like small things and small acts like love, which is free and easy for people to grasp and understand and move forward with. Uh, it's a lot easier than living in fear, that's for sure. Darn, fear, boy, bam, that's gonna that's taking Americans down and sending so many Americans in the wrong direction, I guess. And that's too bad. Can't let fear control us like that. We got to join together. American tears. We gotta come together and conquer it. And with everything we got. Because fear is serious. And it's a lot of a bigger deal than I realize, or even everyone in America realizes right now. It is a very, it is part of the disease. We got to cure that as soon as possible as American tears. We can do that. Yes. Okay, let's do it. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your time. And let me talk a little bit more about the fear factor, I guess, whatever you want to call it, whatever you think. I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day. Be good. Drink fluids. Work out. Eat good food. Okay. All right. Peace. Love.